I wanted to talk about KPIs today. This is the first video that I've shot like this. The reason that I'm shooting it is because I get a ton of questions from friends in the industry, other businesses. I get asked to speak at different conferences, um, and I end up usually speaking about the same things over and over again. So I thought I'd put it on wax and let you guys sort of have this in posterity. Um, In case you don't know who I am, my name is Brett Holmes. I've worked in this industry, the financial pub industry, for 15 years. Before that, I was an engineer for 7 or 8 years. And I started out at 18 working for advertising.com in 1998. So I had a really early taste of the internet and marketing and SEO and all this stuff. It was a fun time to be alive. All you needed to do was know HTML and you got paid $100,000 a year. And I landed at Agora mostly because I live in Baltimore and they were an up and coming company and they didn't have a ton of tech or website development or really much of anything aside from content. So when I started there, um, I was probably one of the first people that was buying media, making websites, sending, like doing the things that we do today. So that's a nice little primer if you don't know who I am. Let's talk about KPIs, right? KPIs, key performance indicators. And I hate acronyms, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan, but it's nice to be on the same page. Let's talk about KPIs just from I have dozens of them, literally dozens. We can do ones for promos, we can do ones for customer service, telesales, etc. But let's start about step number one, the most basic KPIs you can get if you run a business in the financial publishing industry. The most basic KPI you can have every single day, and you should do it every day. I'd say one of the biggest mistakes that I see working with other smaller businesses or even larger businesses is that they don't really care about their daily inventory. And it doesn't have to be everybody in the company. It should be the people making most of the decisions. But I do believe in analytically choosing the decisions as opposed to doing it based on gut or based on feel. Sometimes those don't have a lot of buy-in. One of the reasons that I love KPIs is because you can get a ton of buy-in from everybody in the company. It's easy for them to learn. It's easy for them to get involved. They know exactly where the business is. And sometimes that can be a bummer, to be honest with you, because when your company's not doing very well or when you're struggling, it's hard to show those numbers every day. But I think you do have to commit to them. And there is a way to grow them every day. And you have to work for that growth of these KPIs. So basic KPIs, mail volume, total clicks, and revenue. If you don't run those every day, you are likely not taking your business as serious as I would. And your mail volume is everything from your paid fulfillment email to your free e-letter. I don't care if it's how many times you tweet, but you're looking for an available set of eyeballs. You're looking to create inventory there. Total number of clicks is your response rate, right? So if I send out 100,000 mails and I get 1,000 clicks, that's a 1% response rate. That's what I'm looking for. And then the revenue associated on the day. Now, you may be asking, how do I track the revenue back to those clicks, back to those emails? Cross that bridge when you get there if you're still taking this information at face value. The process of tracking them is important, but it's not the most important thing to do if you're not already starting from step one, which is these 3 KPIs. So let's talk about the numbers associated with them. I'll make these quick. I don't want you guys to sit here for 30 minutes, but your mail volume is your mail volume. And it's really frustrating sometimes to work with businesses and have them say things like, oh, we need to make a lot of money. You are limited. You are very limited by the mail volume that you can create. I'm not taking into account external spend and the revenue there. I'm not taking account joint ventures. I'm talking about the inventory that you own, your list sizes. You are boxed in to some basic math that can fluctuate, but is also, it's pretty static. And if you can't learn how to control your mail volume, expand it, optimize it, and monetize it, then you're not doing yourself a service to further the business. So let's take, for example, you send out 100,000 mails in a day, right? You do the work, you get into your CRM, you get into your ESP, you look at your CRM or your ESP, whoever's giving you those numbers, you pull them every day. And they can be pretty generic when you start. You say, I send 100,000 mails. Okay, so is that good or is that bad? Well, The response rate or the click through rate divided by times the open rate is going to tell you that. So if you get a 20% open and a 20% click through rate, that's a 4% response rate, right? So a 4% response rate for 100,000 mails is pretty good. 2% is good. 1% is your baseline as far as health. Anything below 1%, you are either doing one of two things wrong. Either you're in spam jail or you're not asking for a CTA, which is a call to action. So there's some thresholds for you to be able to check on. Now, if you're sending out 100,000 mails a day and you get a 4% response rate of 4,000 clicks, you should be making in a day between $4,000 to $8,000. If you're not, then your marketing materials don't work. You're not asking for a sale. You're not pushing the customer along inside the natural progression of the sale to take advantage of your products or your promos. But you are also limited by that. If you are maxed out, let's say you do 4,000 clicks and you do make $8,000 to $10,000 or $5,000, that is where you live. That is where you are limited to. So if you're sitting there going, I want to make $500,000 a month, okay, you're going to have to send more mail. And, we'll talk about these later, but the ways to do that are to create more inventory internally via content or to start buying some media externally. So I'd say the number one frustration I run into out there when it comes to moving these numbers is this sort of thing. Like if I make a great promo, I'll do great sales. If you make the greatest promo in the world, end of America, come a hitherto, right? And you send that out and you only get 1,000 clicks a day at most, and I'm talking about at most, you're going to do a $10 CPC. Or EPC, a $10 earnings per click. So that's 10 grand. That's the greatest promo. The variations between promos are not that huge. They're huge when it comes to ROI buying outside, but they're not that huge internally. So don't stress yourself out by saying, oh, we're going to get to 5. You have to do the math to build the building blocks to get to that number. You can't get to a certain number of revenue without understanding how much inventory you're actually using every day. If you generate 1,000 clicks, you should be generating $2,000 to $4,000. If you generate 200 clicks, you're going to be sub $1,000. You are boxed in there. Okay. That's where you got to start. And the reason that you start there is to become realistic with where your business is. I see a lot of people out there, they don't know why their copy doesn't work. They don't know why they're not making a lot of money. They don't know this. They don't know that. Start here. If you start here, you will have a realistic interpretation of how big your business can be right now over the next 30 days. That's lesson number 1. So thanks. If you have something that you want to see me talk about next time, feel free to put it below. I plan on doing a bunch of these because there's a ton of topics to talk about. But next, we will talk about mail bandwidth, content, and when is too much mail. And I'll get into some of those theories next time. So I hope you liked it.